with the best father and son team on the internet. It's time for Homie and the Dude.
Welcome, everyone. This is Homie and the Dude, and we are incredibly privileged and thankful to be presenting you this exclusive father and son podcast. It's part of the father and son MMA podcast that we've been running for a long time, and we wanted to reach out and explore father and son dynamics. And we are so grateful to be here with Arnold Allen, the 5th ranked UFC featherweight in the world, and his father, Pacer Allen, so big that you could crush my head at any point. Guys, welcome. Well, thanks for welcoming us to your house.
Yeah, well,
Thanks for
coming. Yeah, no, it's good. It's cool.
No, it's such a pleasure. We're such big fans of Arnold, and it's over the time that we've been doing Cage Warriors Academy, we've just felt really lucky to get to know your guys' whole family and just
good.
Kind of integrate with you guys a little bit more, which has been
cool.
really nice. Something, obviously we're father and son. I used to do a lot of sports and I'm packing on the pounds a little bit now. Growing up, Tom coached me in a few things and would work with me, in the sports that I would do.
What do you do? What sport?
So I used to do karate when I was younger and
cool.
compete in that, and then a lot of basketball and things like that as well, and football as well here and there.
Don't be modest. He was the champion of Spain in Kempo karate
For a couple of years.
Right. Cool, man.
Not bad. And Tom used to, be a corner man for that, and then was my basketball coach for many years. And it's an interesting dynamic. We had our definitely ups and definitely our downs in terms of relationship and how we get along. Do you guys find that that's something similar that goes on with you guys? What's the kind of dynamic for your kind of relationship with that?
I just do something and he criticises it. Whatever I do.
I find him a complete arsehole. Up to the day of the show, and then we're good. But up to that, I want to kill him myself. He's lucky he makes the shows.
If it's a boring fight, he criticises it. The Dan Hooker fight, which I don't think was boring, he criticises it.
What was wrong with the Hooker fight?
Constructive criticism. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, in fact, there's awesome. I always knew he could do that, but for the last 3 years, I've been told that he's being restrained, hold back to take as least flack as he can before, because he's going to have to really fight on the next few shows. That's obvious. Yeah. So the idea behind it is that he takes it easy, so he gets there with little damage as possible. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. When I was younger, when he first got into the UFC, I didn't understand that, because on the earlier shows, he'd annihilate the guys within minutes. Same thing. So I thought, rather than me agreeing with him and saying, wicked, well done, that's my sort of fight. It reminds me of outside the bar in the sort of late 90s. I said, I'm proud of you. That's the best thing I've ever seen. And that's what I call fighting. I had to go, damn it, because if I tell him that, next time he's going to do the same, maybe. So I thought...
Mate, are you welling up a little bit?
No, it's I'm tired from that. I slept on this settee.
Because to tell you the truth, like that moment, that Hooker moment was incredible. Like that was, I can't even imagine how you were feeling, but the stakes were so high. Hooker is, just the name carries weight in the UFC, and Arnold has the pedigree and has the record and everything, but to do that to him was
a big deal.
Big deal.
But I've seen him do this to loads of guys. You got to imagine he was fighting at 15 years old, was it?
Yeah.
15 on some shows, adult shows, and he was fighting 26-year-old guys. And we were criticised for being stupid, bringing a guy to fight clearly an adult, and he would do the same thing. So to me, I've seen him do that before, and I thought that's how the whole UFC career would go, with him destroying opponents in the first round. And then as I've got more wise, I suppose, I've realised this is a business, and he has to work his way to the top cleverly, and it's took me this long. So I thought if I tell him that, just tell him that it was terrible. What the fuck are you playing at? Why did you go off script and do that?
You're waiting for the celebration at the proper moment, aren't you? You're waiting for
that belt.
exactly.
Well, we've worked out that if we carries on at the pace we're going at the minute, I'll be 77.
And he'll be 39-0 and number one ranked at that point. He'll still be figuring out a way.
And I'll still be criticising him. So you ain't going to get away with that.
You know, I'm super interested because obviously that Hooker fight was one big name too in the UK. You know, you had family and friends both watching and in the stadium. Was there much nerves for you going into that fight? Was there much nerves for you watching just because of the spectacle that it was here in the UK from that?
Yeah, there was more nerves than usual because it's like a big step up, big name. First sort of real challenge to prove yourself, and it's got a pretty cool highlight reel as well. When you watch his fights, you see he's knocked all these guys out of the fight, all sorts of strikes. So yeah, when you watch his highlight reel, it's you can't not be a bit like, oh shit. Yeah.
And you know what, you had that really weird, I think it was BT interview. I think you were the only two guys that had it where you were sat across from one another on a table. How was it to like, because I'm not sure, do you get in a mentality, because some fighters, you know, have to hate their opponent, other fighters go in, you know, and they're a bit more neutral. How was that kind of interaction being sat right in front of him for like 30 minutes being interviewed?
It was alright, it was just awkward. It was just awkward more than anything. But no, like I don't really get into that mentality. I don't feel that way. But it's more like a sporting way. There obviously is the fight aspect of it, but I think I say that in a competitive way. Like I'm trying to hurt you, as in score points. You know, so I don't have to dislike the guy to. I'm still going to try and knock him out or do the same thing. You know, but yeah, it was just weird. It was weird. I don't know why they got us to do that, but whatever.
Yeah, they do it in boxing quite a bit. They say these sort of.
They usually do it as a bit of like
try and provoke
a bit of back and forth.
Exactly, trying to drum up that media.
Yeah, like in a way, I feel we're kind of similar. Like neither of us wanted to say anything bad, so it's just like, yeah.
It was the most respectful, like face to face interview.
Done. You can say it. It's like not very good interview.
Yeah, it's like he's alright. I'm alright. Yeah, it's okay.
So Hooker is one of those guys that, you know, has a bit of reputation behind him and everything, and I just. You know, sometimes I try to get into the headspace that you guys live in. When you think about, you know, the names of, you know, like Volkanovski, Max Holloway, the two guys that fought last night, Ortega, you know, Yair. When you look at that mentally, are you just so confident in your skills and saying, "I'll have a go. I think I've got the puzzle solved with any of those." Yeah,
I mean, at this point in your career, it's like. I've got to where I want to be. I've got to where I've been working to be, and there's no point in not believing in myself now against those guys. I train really hard, work with some really tough guys, and put the work in. So yeah, I believe in it. I believe I could beat those guys, like all those guys. So yeah.
Well, you must know the same when he was competing. I mean, I don't think there's no difference.
Yeah. I mean, as a father in those situations. I mean, I feel like I was more nervous, and you know, my heart's going crazy, and I'm, you know, hoping that he executes what he's been training on, and what he's wanted to do, and he gets out of it what he wants to get out of it.
But did you find the same thing I found? Like he just said, any advice I give to him, he totally thinks I'm a dick.
Well, there isn't a dynamic. We had that for a while.
We definitely, especially more so in basketball, because it was a little bit of a. I was in my teenage years and going through that angsty kind of period, you know, where you're like a little bit more emotional and like I remember in the house, Tom, I called Tom Dad for many years, and then when he became my basketball coach, he became coach in the house, and it was like walking around, I was like, "Coach, can you pass me the remote control?"
Dick, I get Dick, which is universal. I don't need to be Dad, Pace, or anything. I was just Dick.
But you know, it's one of those ones where we found our rhythm a little bit more, and I think we gained respect for one another in that place, and you know, it became a situation where we just understood each other a little bit better. I think as both men, and you know, the father-son dynamic, and even as just like friends in a certain way as well. You know, we had some more shit to talk about. We had some more, you know, just I guess I don't even know, connectivity. I think is what it really built for us. What would you say?
I think it was probably more work on my end to kind of try to take myself, not completely out of the father role, but take some of that away and not be, you know, as a father, you want the best for your child, and sometimes you think you know what that is, and it might not be aligned with what they want.
100%, yeah.
And that's where you get into problems, because you're driving for something that you desperately want for them, and if it is not aligned, it's a problem. And so I feel like I needed to back off, and I needed to give him space to find himself.
Well, years ago, I mean, he stitched me up one day. He don't like it, but we turned up at a show, and I got handed a seat and told I wasn't in the corner. And I sort of went, well, why the fuck can you just tell me that? If he needs a different coach in his corner, I'm 100% with that. Whatever's best for him. So I don't need. I just feel I'm kind of living what I didn't do through him in a way. So like I'm happy for him to use whichever corners or people behind him, the backing, as long as it's doing him good. I'm 100% happy. So I don't feel I'm sort of having to be hands on into it. All I wish on that occasion he'd have just said to me beforehand, Dad, come on, I'd rather you take a back seat. At the time we had 3 or 4 UFC guys, didn't we?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a long time ago, but like we turned up at a show. I can't even remember which bloody show it was. Limehouse, and
But you have been in Arnold's corner much of his career, but there has been times in London. Were you in the corner in London?
I think a couple of times I wasn't in the corner. I've been
the last one.
The last one.
Yeah, I think even the UFC, the first show in the UFC, it was a UFC. You was abroad.
Berlin,
Yeah, you was abroad, and I think I watched it.
Yeah, no, you weren't in the corner.
No, so it's just I don't necessarily have to be in there. I just want to support him in any which way I can, which means if keeping out of his face or letting him go on with it, even it's up to him.
Thanks for watching this episode. We really appreciate you supporting Homie and the Dude.
Please hit us with the Holy Trinity, like our Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Instagram. Just search @HOMIEandTheDUDE. It all really helps.
To that point, Arnold, like you've got Jack, you've got Farad, you've got your dad.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if at different points in time in those relationships, you are wanting one of those voices more than another. And I'm wondering how hard it is for you to just negotiate, the respect and the history you've had with all of them, and just wanting to get the best situation so you can get a win in that particular fight. Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not understanding the question properly, but they all play an equal part really in a way. Like Faraz he's a master technician, like his tactics are second to none. The techniques he shows like some of the best of the best. Jack, he's like you've seen him work. He's like the consummate professional. Like everything he does is perfect. Like when you do the weight cut, he sits there with me, does everything to a T.
What do I do?
And you're just there for the inspiration.
I don't feel I don't do much, but I did actually ask for hours before the last fight. Is it possible that I could step forward and take more control of the corner? And he was all for it. He said that's a good idea. He said, because of my experience in the business, I said I think my voice would make more sense to him.
And do you know, I feel that I was actually going to ask, how much do you feel like having Pacer in your corner is something that motivates you? Like in that, third round, if you're in like a 3-round fight, or like if you're main event, if you're in a 5th round fight, how much having Dad saying you can got this, does that give you that extra push? Reignite the fire?
Not even saying anything, it just does it. Just you can't really quit in front of your dad, can you? It's embarrassing. It's like
just the eye, just looking at him.
I think that I think the only thing I noticed that I do that's any help at all, apart from waving him, calling him Dad, is that as he gets out of the seat, sometimes he'll look, and you got this, and that's it. That's all it takes. It just comes across, and I think, and plus Pete, unfortunately passed away.
Yeah.
I've got the same mentality, I think, as Master Pete.
It's like old Thai coach.
His Thai coach who passed away, but he's very much. He was up against the cage on. I can't remember. I don't know. I don't take the fights indoors. The one we did here without the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Sadiq.
Yeah, he was up against the cage, and I could hear that he was knackered. He was like gasping for air, and I'm basically all I'm thinking. I'm not even saying it. I'm just thinking, fuck that. Just get on with it. Just keep working, And that's exactly what Pete would do, isn't it? Fuck the punches. Just
that's sometimes fights come to that, right? You go in with a game plan,
And
And
get off it.
I mean, the hooker fight kind of escalated to that pretty quick. What was the game plan with Hooker?
There was a lot of moving around, kicking his legs in and out. Kind of did it for about a minute, and then then he threw a shot and his knuckle went in my eye. I think he threw a punch like his knuckle like that, and it went right in my eye, so I couldn't see anything. I just see double, so I just thought, right, I just keep swinging at him. If I just keep hitting him, that'll work. But Francis did say before in the plan, it was like, we are going to have to fight, like we are going to. He did say,
got one for the both of you.
yeah.
It's not filming.
He did say we have to get stuck in a bit, so yeah.
I mean, Hooker's fights are wars.
Yeah, that's it.
He's a tough dude, man. Yeah, no, all credit to him. Jeez. I've been hit with his shots.
Oh, I thought you meant Hooker.
Oh yeah, I think he wanted to hit me at one point.
You know, obviously you come away from the Hooker fight with injured hands and, you know, struggling a little bit in the last couple of weeks. You know, you've been going sparring and then re-injuring in some ways and whatnot. What are you kind of feeling outside of training? What do you do to keep yourself like either in the zone or take yourself out of the zone so you can be a bit more of a fucking person instead of a fighter?
Everything I do is kind of accidentally training based. Like all the things I do for fun, you know, like fitness based and like, you know, mountain biking, riding bikes, I'm running. Out of camp, out of training, I'm just trying to get fitter and stronger really, but it's fun, isn't it? It's like lifting weights is fun.
I think also mentally some people are closer to that fight. I mean, he doesn't need to run around shouting how good he is and puffing his chest up. And I was very similar in my day, but we're one step away from fighting anyway mentally. And I think that same as your brother. You know, you only got to stand on his foot, and next thing he's in a rage. You know, his head is in a space where he wants to kill somebody. So I think that's what we found. Is some people need to build up to that, and that's a lot of early on. There was guys stomping and kicking the cage. We just stand on the other side looking at them and go, okay.
Yeah,
it's like excuse me, I'm a super nerd. It's like that line in where the Hulk's like, I stay angry all the time. And that's it, just kind of bury it down, you know.
Well, being a nerd is the same as well.
But no, I think that's really awesome. Do you know what's interesting? You mentioned mountain biking. I have done one thing of mountain biking in my entire life. We were in France and we did a bit of mountain biking, and I have never been more afraid in my entire life. Just like fucking, just fucking gripping on for dear life and screaming.
Yeah, it does give you a hard on, doesn't it?
It's so
anything that scares you. I read somewhere it's good for you to be at least scared once a day.
Yeah,
scare yourself once a day. Yeah,
I heard that too. Like there's like, it's good to laugh really heartily once a day, to maybe cry once a day, and to be scared once. Like if you can do that, you're accessing.
I think so. Yeah. It's good for your heart. You've got to. I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, I just tried some crazy shit to do, like they said about my gym. You know, stuff falls on me. I mean, that stone used to rock. I'd push it up and down, and I think it was 120 kilos, something daft like that. And if it rolled in my head, I'm thinking, I don't know what to do. I'll probably try and catch it, but. Do me a lot of good. We took it off now.
When you say stone, I just want to describe this thing. It's about this big.
McGlashan stones.
Do you know? I want to ask about that. Obviously, you've got the gym outside that is, you know, handmade, put together by yourself and whatnot. How often are you working out without a spotter and things like that? How often are you out there like risking your life in some ways?
Well, I do or die. That's what I say. I mean, you know, if there's no spotter there, you have to make the lift. Am I right? So, like, I'd bench
or peel it off of you.
I have done it. I had a British record bench press. Maybe still stand. I don't follow it, but it was for reps for a minute. But I used to go up to 220, 240 kilo bench pressing, and I'd do it on my own. On the understanding, and sometimes, you're right, I'll get to there and it just bonk onto my chest. And I found that if I didn't put the collars on the end, I could just twist and shake it, and the weights would work their way off. And then one day it will fall off, it just it's gone. And I'm up. You know? I mean, there was one time where my wife helped me spot. I sort of kick on the floor and go, Jazz, and she run down, and I didn't have the things, I couldn't beat the bars.
Oh, right.
So I said, well, grab hold of it under my chest. And then, I said, she had her hand stuck under it, because as we went down, she got pinned to my chest.
Oh, man.
So I'm stuck. And I said, move the stands. I said, kick them out of the way. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press and throw it over my head onto the floor.
Yeah.
So, but she didn't let go. So I went 1, 2, 3, pushed and boffed it and stood up. And I was amazed at how good I felt because of the strength. And then when I turned around, she was still pinned to it to the bench with her fingers. And I was like, why didn't you let go? She went, I didn't want you to drop it on yourself. And I went, oh. So I took it off her fingers and the bones had come through the skin. And I was like, oh, damn, that's not good. And she said, I'm going to have to go in the hospital and have these looked at and stitched. And I went, well, I've got 2 sets of flies to do as yet and the arm curls. And then we go straight to the A&E, okay?
You need to get your sets in, right?
Got to get that super set done.
Yeah.
Well, for a while, Trafford was the sort of spotter for a while. I mean, I've seen some video of Trafford. Like, I was like, how isn't that dog getting smashed?
Oh, he did catch it a couple of times. We used to do the hammer when I was training. I used to do the hammer with a tyre, whack, whack, whack. And he used to chase the head of the hammer around in circles. And it hit him once. I had this sickening crack. And over he went in the cartwheel and landed on the floor. And I've dropped the hammer. I go, you stupid dog. And I've gone to sort of see if he was all right. But he would, he just carried on chasing the hammer around. And we tried putting him in the house. I know what you're thinking, put him in the house because he'd be safe. But what did he do, honey?
Oh, yeah, me and my mate were training out there. And he was just going crazy. So I'll put him in the house. And then he was in the upstairs window, like dangling out the window. Like his back legs were trapped.
He's mad. He's absolutely mad.
But he was still trying to get us. He was like this, trapped. And he wasn't realising I'm going to die. He was like, I'm getting them. And I ran upstairs and my friend waited downstairs like this. So luckily he got caught in the window.
How are you guys doing with, I mean, we've had a family dog that Bodhi grew up with, really. Yeah. I mean, the dog probably thought, you know how dogs have themselves in a hierarchy in their minds, and the dog probably thought it was above Bodhi because we had the dog before Bodhi. But it was, you know, it was a member of the family for 12 years. How has it been seeing the wind down of Trafford and then, you know, because it was your dog, right?
Yeah. Well, it was, and then I went away. Was that become your dog? Or?
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, I mean, he was a family dog, and the problem, bless him, a load of guys have all offered us dogs.
Yeah, I've been offered so many dogs.
It's unreal, but no one's going to replace that stupid Dean, you know. It needs to be Alan retarded. He needs to have that craziness about it. Yeah. And I can't see many dogs.
That's how we are. We had the best one that we could have at the time. So it's like, why try to replace that feeling? You're going to
feel disappointed, I'm guessing, after a while. You just ain't got that same.
So I've got to ask, obviously, Trafford, is that related to Old Trafford?
We didn't name him, did we?
No, they were going to, whoever had him before was going to put him to sleep. Then, because he was
they were Chelsea fans?
The dog kept reminding him.
What was he like?
No,
he was like one.
Well, he was uncontrollable, weren't he? He was uncontrollable. They phoned me up and said, "We've got this dog. Do you want it?" I said, "No, we had another dog." And I said, "No, I don't need any other dog." And they said, "Well, they're going to put him to sleep." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Oh, because it's just crazy. It's stupid. It's uncontrollable. You can't give it commands and that." And I said, "Oh, well, drop it round during the day, and I'll have a look. You know, I'll try and take care of it." So when I come home from work, it was in the house. The bloke would come up and just put it in the house and left it here. And I used to work a bag out the back, so I suddenly realised he was a keeper because I went out had a big brand new leather punch bag, and I put some mitts on, and I sort of bang, bang, started working the thing. And he was down the bottom of the garden just sniffing around, and he run. He must have run. I didn't see him. Come at full power. He run up my back, come off my shoulder, and attached himself to the bag with his teeth. Ripped a lump of leather out, which I was going to kill him straight away because I was brand new bag. He just tore it apart and was rolling on the floor in fits of sort of madness.
Trying to protect you, probably.
Well, I thought if I take this dog on the door with me, I mean, this is a winner.
You can sit down and have your dinner. And
he could just let him in, Traff. Let him in. He weren't as stupid as he looked, but I thought he's a keeper. Bless him.
Oh man, it's hard times, but you know. Seems like you guys are, you know, I know I saw in one of your YouTube videos on it that you got a nice little memorial out there for him and stuff.
Maybe a big shrine in the gym.
Yeah, exactly. Just, I mean, again, motivation while you're while you're lifting. You know, look at that and get a little.
Well, the next fight's for Trafford, isn't it? Next fight's good. That's the sort of key word I put into him. I just do this for Traff.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah,
I was going to say, are you going to get on the mic at the end of the fight and dedicate it to
good
with DC or Bisbing in there with you?
The dog. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, one of the things that I love about you, Arnold, is, you did call out Cater last time, but you did it in your way, and you're not doing any bullshit like,
Michael Chandler screaming at the
just
fucking
this,
mic or any of
like,
that shit.
yeah. And I also love, your YouTube channel is representing, yeah, your personality, man. And there's something about that I think is like honorable in the sport that you're in. And also just as a human being, you don't have to present yourself with any bullshit. You don't have to try to generate any buzz or any of that. You just let your work do the talking and be the person you are. And it comes through. And for me personally, for us, we just genuinely appreciate it, respect it, admire it. That's why we love you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, we're not looking to, I mean, he's not looking to be a celebrity. He wants to be the best fighter.
Yeah.
A celebrity is a different thing. I mean,
but it's a different world right now. People are doing weird things to generate, likes and follows, and and often here's the thing: the complicated thing is the corporate world values that and rewards it in some way. So it's very confusing to figure out, okay, how do I navigate this? How much do I do? How much don't I do? What's right? What's wrong? It does get a bit tricky.
Yeah. I mean, it's new to me really, because obviously when I did things, it was totally different. It's word of mouth and phones.
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like you say, everything's on there. It's confusing.
Do you find, like, obviously because you're, so, I guess, generally just genuine and placid in of your personality, how is it for you, like, you've probably been watching, Michael Bisping for years fighting, you've been watching, all these great British fighters as well as also, amazing fighters. How does it feel to, be at a UFC event and bump into these guys and then be interviewed by Bisping? How's that kind of, are you a bit starstruck at times, or how's that kind of feel for you? How do you handle that shit?
Yeah, not anymore. Not anymore, but I was at first. I think it was, that's why I started going to TriStar, because I was like a massive GSP fan, to be honest. And I think it was the first week I was there, I was sparring with him. And I was punching and I stopped about here because I was like, I'm not allowed to hit GSP.
You're a stunt man and that's Tom Cruise or something?
Who am I to be punching GSP? I can't touch George. And then he hit me with a hard right hand. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm going to get out. Yeah, but that was probably the only time really. But after training with GSP, sort of, for me, he's like the best of all time. So then anyone under that is like, another guy in the sport, isn't it?
What is it like training with GSP? What kind of experience is that? How much do you feel like you're gaining from those sparring sessions, those training sessions with him?
It was alright when he was making a comeback. He was still kind of partying. He would come back a little bit hungover, and then I'd have a bit of success. But no, I think he made his comeback, and now he's training more like a professional athlete. Now he's retired. He's more of a professional than a lot of the professionals doing the sport. Like, he's
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like a freak athlete. He's training all the time, and but like the rounds you get in with someone like that, he always teaches you something small, but it will stick with you. When it's someone like coming from someone him, it will just say something so small, but because it's come from him, it will stick in your head, and you'll sort of you'll keep it with you, sort of thing. But yeah, no, he's really good.
You took me over to meet him, didn't you? I'm not a fanny person.
Yeah.
I've never really. I like certain people who fight, but I'm not. I don't follow anyone. I don't. If you ask me who's at the top of UFC, I wouldn't know. Yeah, I don't. I'm the worst fan ever. And he took me over.
His fan.
I help him along, but But he said, "Come and see George." I was in the gym training. I was lifting weights.
I was training. Fraz took me.
Fraz come over and said, "Come meet George." So I sort of come over and I said, "Hello, mate. Well, I know who George Pico is, but I've never met him. So to me, he looked totally different." And he shook hands and I said, "Yeah, your boy will be very good." And I sort of slapped him on the shoulder and I went, "You train hard, you'll be as good as him one day." And walked off. But he thought it was my English sense of humour, I think.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Didn't know I'm a complete idiot.
You're just being honest. Yeah, pure honesty.
I just carried on lifting weights, and Fraz was like, "Never mind."
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant.
So, tell us a little bit as well, because obviously you've gone up to Canada to work with Fraz. He's now been your coach through many fights. how's that relationship like? Are you guys like really close? Do you find yourself, you know, like fucking texting him like funny shit? Like you're like, how close are you guys?
Nah, he's flat out. I know he's like the busiest man in the world, but yeah, we speak, but only when it's sort of important or something.
Well, he was coaching over the phone, weren't he?
Yeah. So the last camp I did here, but then we'll speak regular, like sharing sparring, and he was watching footage and. Yeah.
He asked me not to commentate because what I did, I just filmed him with my phone while he's sparring, and then he sends the content off.
Commentary.
So I got bored of it, so I just go, yeah, he just took another punch to the face. That's clever, aren't you? You know, try and move your head. Yeah, oh yeah, no, he took another punch. What's that move? I don't know what that's called. It's some sort of. All this Fraz asked me not to keep doing it.
That's absolutely amazing. You know, the thing is, and I feel like there's a slight problem with some UK fighters. It feels like, you know, a lot of UK fighters kind of narrow themselves into, oh, this is my gym and I train at this gym and I work with just these people. You know, you look at, for example, Team Cowbon, you know, a lot of those guys don't really work outside of their gyms in a lot of cases. But you're, you know, going over to Canada, you're working with Leon Edwards, you're working with all these guys. It seems like that is really allowing you to elevate your game and push yourself higher. Do you find that, you know, getting those rounds in with all those different people is a key part of what you're doing, or do you think it's just a factor of?
No, definitely, because, well, especially being where we are, there's a few, you know, there's good grapplers around, there's good jiu-jitsu gyms, there's like boxes around, but there isn't the whole sort of MMA package here. So we've always, even when you were competing, you had to travel everywhere, didn't you? Like
to try and train with the best, you know. I mean,
you were driving all over the place.
Yeah, you can be the king of the gym, but that means shit, does it?
Yeah, you need to be beaten by people to get better.
I used to go and find people who could beat me in powerlifting. I used to find stronger guys and just train with them, just to be humbled a bit to make me work harder.
Yeah,
I think if I could easily stay in the local gyms and just be the daddy, but it's worth nothing.
Yeah, sure.
In that respect, so you're traveling around, you're getting different looks from different people. What is it right now as part of your game? You look at, you know, now you're looking at 4 people above you, and they have different aspects of MMA that they have mastered.
Yeah.
What is it when you look at your, you know, the list of things that you say, I got to tweak this a little bit, I got to get this a little bit better? Is there anything in particular that you're like, this is the one, or that is on my mind more these days?
Yeah, not one thing in particular, just everything really.
Yeah.
Just the whole MMA aspect of it. Cause I had some fights where it just sort of ended up being them sort of kickboxing matches, like counter wrestling. I haven't really had many fights in the UFC where I've been having to score takedowns and chasing people to get them down. So yeah, just the whole MMA as a whole, really. Yeah, that's
such a big scope. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when he was the ABA schoolboy champion. Not many people know that boxing. And and I used to go and watch him when I was really into it.
It was Eastern Counties.
Yeah, Eastern Counties ABA. Is it ABA though?
Yeah.
And I'd go along and coach, whatever it was. We'd just be there for him. And I used to say to him, yeah, but boxing, because our whole family, my background comes from boxing. All great-granddad was a chairman of the boxing club in Ipswich and everything else. So, but I've got short arms and I'm short and heavy. I mean, it's horrible. Everyone I'm going to box was 6'5", so like it's a nightmare. And so I said to him, yeah, boxing's all one-dimensional, though. It's, you know, there's very limited amount of fight in boxing.
Yeah.
And he said, fix me up with an MMA match then. So we had to change his name because the ABAs were really, that's where the name Billy came from, wasn't it?
Well, that's my middle name, isn't it?
Yeah, we use Billy
So
instead.
you were Billy Allen for a while?
My first couple amateur MMA fights. Yeah.
Is that on Sherdog and everywhere?
I don't even think it was on there then.
But he's gone straight out, and because boxers can punch. Obviously, that's what they train to do. And he hit this kid with a body shot, and the kid looked at his corner as if to say, what the fuck was that? This kid has just hit me 14 then, weren't you? Yeah. And then he choked him out with some sort of weird choke. And what do you do?
It's like a guillotine from half guard or
something like that.
Yeah, some weird,
And I said, where'd you learn that? I said, because that's not in boxing. And he went, well, I do watch the shit you do. So I was like, but the rest was history. I said, well, yeah, but what do you want? Do you want to stand in front of 4 old men, age pensioners, in a dark old sort of billet hall somewhere?
It's because of the the amateur boxing is like
The reference
all
terrible,
dinner
isn't it?
shows, they all got bow ties. There's no like, it's not a show or anything. There's no
Dull,
walk out. You just, you've got this guy in the blue corner, red corner. No one's watching the fight. They're all just sort of,
Yeah.
they're all having dinner and catching up with their mates, sort of thing. Like all the old boys, you know, the old school sort of thing. And then the MMA, it's all
Ring girls,
smoke,
fireworks,
ring girls, there's lights, everything else. Like,
music, pumping
pretty
sound.
cool.
It's got to be better,
It's a
isn't it?
lot more
You know,
fun.
this is a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'll take this.
I'll
Yeah.
explore this.
I'm super interested because obviously, you know, we know you're a phenomenal striker. We know you've got dynamite in your hands. Is it striking that you love most? Like, is there an aspect of MMA that you prefer? Like, if you could be like, you know what, I would love to do some jiu-jitsu in a fight, or like, is there an aspect that you're like really favoring, or is it striking through and through?
No, everything. I like it all. Yeah, I like it all. But like, if I was to pursue anything other, it would probably be like boxing or something over grappling. But
There's an old saying: you can't beat a right hand on the jaw.
Everyone has a plan until they
That's
get
the
fucking
answer
hit.
to it.
yeah. So if I was to not compete in MMA, I'd probably be pursuing boxing. To be fair, so over jiu-jitsu. But yeah, I do enjoy it. I do enjoy both. The same.
Those to me, it seems like I'm getting more informed about the reason why you're dominating in certain ways. To me, the powerlifting background, the lifting background of your family, and then your striking early on in boxing are two things that I think separate you. Like, I think your core. I mean, I look at, you know, Josh Emmett. He looks like a beast as well.
Yeah.
Volkanovski has proven that he can get out of a, you know, top man to guillotine somehow. I mean, you know, everyone in that level is you know, crazy like specimens. You're in that category because you bring these other attributes that are super important and different than other people are just growing up doing MMA. The fact that you've been out there pushing weights for your whole life is a different level of like core strength. You know, your bones, your muscles, your fibers, everything.
A little bit that's genetic as well. I think because the brother is well, he's been around the world, isn't he, doing strongman stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And he's no discipline to him at all. Unlike Arnie, he can't seem to get his head into the whole sort of like, I've got to eat right, I've got to discipline sleep. And no, he just does it like, I'll go to America and compete in the world finals to this strongman thing for the 105. He's not even 105 kilos. He's about 5-10 kilos short.
10 kilos.
So he flies over there, goes and places 8th in the world.
That's incredible.
And he comes
and those
back.
guys are probably cutting weight too.
Yeah. He can't even make the weight. It's just ridiculous. And he'll come back and go, oh, well, that was a laugh. That was a bit of fun. And, but yeah.
Free holiday?
Yeah, I've seen when guys lock up, they strike with him for a while and realise he's probably out punching them. Yeah. So they'll grapple him, pull him in, and then suddenly look, because they think, Jesus.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it. I've done it. You know, you grab hold of some guy and you just feel immediately what sort of core power they've got. Is horrible. So you know, I'll see him break away and then push him away and return back to strike and think, fuck that.
It's like both are bad areas. You get punched by Arnold and you're like, fuck, that sucked. And then you go into grapple and you're like, fuck, this sucks.
I've seen it a lot of times. They're like,
fuck this. Shit. You know, obviously with your hand injury recently, I've been interested how much that has affected you throughout the early part of your career. Has it been something you've dealt with a lot throughout your career? Or is it something that, you know, is only, as you're now starting to really blast dudes out, is that now something that you're dealing with a little bit more?
I signed to the UFC with a hand injury as well from a fight before, when I fought that Paul Cook in Newcastle. So I fought a lightweight fight before I did this, I broke this knuckle, that weird one there. And, but then it was a few months later, I got a fight in the UFC, Alan Omar, and I heard it again in that one. So it's just little things like that. Like,
we was always taught hard on soft when you punch, but he don't seem to. Well, they won't stay still for a start. You think they'd stay in the position so you can hit in the right place, but they keep turning and moving.
So inconvenient.
Those fuckers, how dare they?
Yeah.
So what are you doing to kind of solve that problem at the moment? Have you got any like sort of plan for the hands?
I'm just doing everything.
Yeah.
All the wrist strengthening things, seeing specialists and things like that, and they give me tons and tons of exercises to do. So I've been doing like hand strengthening, grip strengthening, wrist exercises like religiously every day. and just waiting until I feel better.
I've heard climbing is really good for
Yeah,
like forms and stuff. I'm not sure if you've done anything like that. Or
No, I haven't.
We get my hang on the bars quite a lot. Just we were always taught that was to build up.
Yeah.
But climbing, you're using different, like you're using those
Digits.
little digits.
Yeah, it's a weird one. But also, you fucking weigh like a shit ton more than me. Lifting myself on a climbing wall is very different to you lifting yourself, you know.
Plus, there's a height thing. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't know heights.
That's bad.
Yeah,
for me. That's bad for me. Is the UFC? Yeah, I'm sure they're checking in every now and again, but you're squarely on the radar for them, and they're probably, you know, on their Tuesday meetings with Sean Shelby and Dana and them, you're on the board. So I'm wondering how much are they contacting you and saying, what's the timeline?
Yeah, to be fair, I think I would have got the Cater fight that Emmett got for that main event fight if I wasn't injured. It wasn't mentioned because I was already out injured with this after that fight. Then other than that, I would have probably been on next week's July, the London one. So. Yeah. But it's sort of on us now to sort of let them know when we're ready to start pushing for something, and that won't be long. It will be this year. Everyone keeps saying I fight once a year, but it will be this year.
Yeah.
Just a few more weeks, I think it should be ready to go.
Just got man up.
Just go in there and break it on someone else's head.
Well, we used to have a school of thought when I was doing the powerlifting. We got, I mean, I'm riddled with injuries and breaks and snaps, and we've thought if you break it, it has to be fixed. Yeah. If it's damaged, then
you got to work twice as hard to fix it.
It's a pain. You have to work around it.
Yeah.
So we go out of a way to break and injure it, and then we go to the hospital and have to fix it surgically, and then
fix it properly. Yeah.
It's all done. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, not the advice I would give to everybody to do. It's not.
We came into these. We had a thought about doing these father and son interviews, and we didn't really know how they would play out or anything. And we got a list of people, and you guys were on the top of the list, and we didn't even know how this would play out. But I certainly feel like it was super, super interesting to have that conversation, to know you guys a little bit better, to share a little bit about
and likewise, well. I mean, you know, I didn't even ask where you come from with what sport. Mostly
basketball, but I played baseball. I did a little bit of done some jiu-jitsu and some other lesser sort of striking martial arts as well. But my background is basketball, and I coach professional basketball. Because I mean, as long as he's happy, that's the way I've always looked at it myself. Whatever sport he chooses to do. I mean, if he came back and said he wanted to be a ballerina, exactly,
I'd be shocked. But
they're like, sweet, let's get you a tutu and some nice shoes.
Let's get on with
point.
Let's
go. Fucking do some pirouettes. You know, it's great to hear that. You know, it's so. I feel like rare. I don't know why it feels a bit rare that, you know, there's that level of support for I would say particularly guys, it feels like, from their dads, you know, in terms of that level of just, you know, like you just said, whatever it would have been, I would have been there fucking helping and supporting. And I feel like it's a little bit rare these days. So I appreciate you saying that. And I know, like, I appreciate our, like, level of work that we did together, you know, when I was doing sports and doing things like that. And, you know, when we would do jiu-jitsu together, though, we both agreed that it was one of the most traumatic experiences of our lives, just drowning in human.
Well, my side came from my dad. Could never understand. He I think he still does, thinks I'm crazy, thinks I'm the madman, and because I put so much effort into something that didn't really get a lot of return, as in financially. Because my dad was a hard worker. I mean, he was a muscle bound when we was young, and I mean, but you wouldn't catch him doing weights. He would be doing the house, lifting tiles, doing cement by hand. He was a grafter, and like he would say to me, how much do you get for this show? Obviously, when I snap something, he'd say, well, you're out of work now. How much is that going to cost you? I said, well, you know. But he could never get it. So he wouldn't come to the shows. He wouldn't have a lot to do with me, as in...
That's what I mean.
Yeah, it was totally, no, you get on with it. You're just crazy. And in the end, I mean, the only time he came down the gym, we had a gym in a basement. And I was down there lifting, and my weights used to clonk around. Like I was still at school, and he came down one day and walked into the basement with me, and he sort of looking at me, and he'd go, let me just take some measurements and stuff. And I thought, you know, Dad's going to train with me, you know. I thought, awesome. And he went into the other room, and he come back with some rubber plates, took the weights off, put the rubber mats in them, shut them again, and they went, right, now I can hear the fucking TV. And went back upstairs. And I just sat there, oh, right.
incredible.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was the same with my dad. You know, I feel like I tried to take some things that didn't work with my relationship with my dad and break the cycle. And I feel like I've done that in a certain way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
and it's hard to do it. You know, you look at families and it is a similar dynamic from granddad to dad to son, and you know it's kind of be the same for that next generation as well. So, yeah,
just support as much as you can. It is all you can do, you know, to see him go forward. Like the Jake, like I said, we try and help him as much as I can, but then he does the opposite again, and you think, oh God's sake, you know. So I give him advice. He'll say, whatever, and then all of a sudden he'll say, oh, I spoke to this guy on the internet. He said I should do this and this. I said, I told you that 10 months ago. And he goes, yeah, but this is some guy from Scotland who's a world champion. You know, I'm like,
it's the same damn thing, though.
Word for word.
The Swatman brothers said this as well, and I went, okay, well then, you know, it must be right. There you go.
Do you know, Arnold? I'm sure you, like me, appreciate, you know, like you said, you know, it's not easy. Like, my grandfather passed away a few years ago, and you know, he just wasn't the easiest guy to deal with, full stop. You know, he was, you know, very hot-headed. He, you know, again, throughout literally till the day he died, you know, Tom would chase, you know, his dreams of things that he wanted to do, whether it was basketball coaching or when you're writing a book and, you know, all this different stuff. And, you know, he'd be sat there and he'd be like, so I've seen a business in the airport where you can shine shoes and you'll make a lot of money shining shoes in an airport. And Tom's like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I think, you know, for me, Arnold, and I'm sure you agree with this, is that appreciation that you guys have broken that mold. Like that, that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, well, that
makes
sense because my dad said to me, he said to me once, I said, I'm going to do a thing for a certificate of competence for driving a truck. It's like the next step to owning a business. Yeah. And my actual dad said to me, he said, that's not for the likes of us. Well, what do you mean? It's for like clever people. I went, wow, okay. Yeah. So I thought I'd go and bloody well do it, and yeah, got a good pass on it as well. And yeah, it's just it's a different mindset. I think is anything's possible if you believe in it enough. You can do whatever you want. You know, it's just the only person to hold you back is yourself.
You're right. It feels like you guys are very, very similar. Just there's a huge physically size difference, but like mentality-wise, you guys are very similar.
Yeah. I think it's an era, isn't it? I mean, like you say, it's a year between us. Which
can we just become best friends?
I think we can.
Do I still need to drop my shorts out there?
Well, I mean, we can get you big. I think I can guarantee size increase within 3 months.
the Allen training plan.
I mean, they use this stuff on racehorses. It can't be bad.
Exactly.
Amazing.
Well, guys, I'm just so grateful to be sitting in your living room. And,
you're more than welcome.
Yeah, just really, really pleased and thankful that you guys let us in and got to meet you a little bit more and can say that we're, you know, a little bit closer to understanding you, appreciating you, and maybe even becoming a little bit closer to becoming friends.
And you guys, we appreciate you driving all the way here to come see us because you've got a hell of a drive, haven't you?
We honestly, it comes down to like, one, we love what we're doing. We're very lucky that we love what we're doing. And furthermore, we believe so heavily in Arnold that we like, from the moment we saw you fight, we were like, Tom literally was like, I'm going to message him. It was like, we need to start like building that connection because we just knew from the moment that we saw you fight, we were like, we believed in you. We just knew that you were going to grow into something amazing. And I think for me, you know, I'm so thankful, one, that, you know, we're here with you guys, and I'm just honored to be in the presence of greatness like that. Like legitimately, like, dude, like I've achieved some things in my life, but you know, I respect UFC fighters. I respect the art of the sport. I respect, you know, the years of work that you've put in, you know, and to me, there's no higher honor than to be able to, you know, do this kind of thing with you and to be able to share this moment with you. It really, like, for me, like, it's like fucking sitting with a samurai, you know, and you know, being able to talk to you about your motivations and, you know, what leads you there, and having your dad be here proud of you, and it's just truly like a blessing for me. I feel very lucky.
I'm more proud of being humble, like you guys. 100%. You know, humble. I think there's a lot to be said for that. You don't, you know, it's not always, when we used to work at the clubs, it's not always the one who makes the most noise.
No,
it's sometimes you have to sort of be subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones who make the most noise break their fucking legs and then bitch about it for years.
Who do you mean?
Not to name anyone. But, you know, yeah, I like I said, for me as a young guy, like, I look up to you massively. And
Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, dude, you're a kick-ass guy, and and again, Pacer as well. Like,
Thanks,
again,
man.
respecting the way you guys think is, I've always looked up to Tom, and you know, he's been one of my big inspirations throughout my whole life to drive and achieve things. And you know, it's nice that I can, you know, and I feel like male role models are one of those things that us guys sometimes either struggle to find or we kind of have a lot of them, you know, kind of thing. And I feel like I'm finding more of those the more I kind of get to know people like yourselves.
I bought a book. This is the truth. When I've heard my first son, and it was called How to Raise Boys, because I didn't really want to bring them up the same way as I was brought up, and I thought the book might tell me something that, you know, and it was exactly right. As soon as you're born as a boy, they gravitate towards the mum, because obviously, you know, mum. And then when they get to a certain age, I think it was about 5 or 6 into that era, then they gravitate towards their dad. And then when they get to about early teens, all of a sudden, the dad becomes dick. Because he's an idiot. And they don't want to be nothing like their dad at all. And what they'll do is they'll search for someone outside of their family to worship and emulate and want to become like. And thank God we were in the sport where we're surrounded by fighters. And so with Jack and all the boys, that's where he went. And so the book was exactly right. I can obviously say now, 30 years later, I thought, wow, you know, it made sense.
You're in and you're like, it's bullshit. I'm going to be his favorite, you know. But then, like, years later,
you want to be, but it doesn't work that way.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's really awesome. One again, just the level of respect I have for you, Pacer, for wanting to just break the mold and be different. It's just so. It's fucking beautiful. It's just super kick-ass. And I think, you know, there's a reason why Arnold is going to be a fucking champ, and there's a reason why Jake, when he starts eating right and making weight and whatnot, he's also going to be.
I don't think he'll ever do it. Well, he's just going to enjoy himself.
Humble. He's always telling me I need to talk more shit to people. My brother's like, you need to start calling this guy out.
Well, we were gonna swap places so that he's going to take.
He just does the talk.
From it. But we'll have so many haters. It'll be brilliant. I mean,
he's always on the UFC's like Instagram page. Like Emmett Port, my brother was commenting on it. My brother fucking knock him out. I don't say it on my behalf.
You're gonna have him come in for the interview.
He ain't got the humbleness
like
at all.
Anyone my way, he's like, you'll fucking kill him.
Next interview, you need him in this place.
Just like a hype man.
You know what? You sometimes need that. I'm not sure if you saw last night for Ollie Sauer's fight. He had that rapper come in. I was like, oh god, this is hilarious. If he gets like, don't get me wrong, he blasted that guy out beautifully. But if he had been knocked out, I was like, oh, that's like the most embarrassing one. You're the only guy who walks out with a fucking hype man. And, you know, but luckily he completely destroyed him. Yeah. One of those, you know.
Whatever works, that's the way I look at it. If that works for you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, you know, different people find that kind of groove in different ways. And again, I've always loved honor, and I saw you guys fucking sword when I walked in, and I was like, you know, I love that kind of mentality. I love where you're at, and I think the humbleness is something, you know, there's something that I love about, you know, at the end of a fight when two fighters, you know, especially like in Muay Thai, you know, when they get down and they, you know, really respect one another. Yeah, and you know, it's just. It shows the art of the sport. And I think you sit in that category as opposed to being like, you know, Michael Chandler at the end of his last fight where he's just screaming at people and you're like, okay, dude, like, I see what you're doing. You're trying to drum up some hype, but you know, there's a level of what you are all doing that is, it's art and it's talent. It's hard work. It's years of work and
I have a walkout t-shirt I used to wear when I fought. Yeah. It's upstairs and it says on the back, respect everybody. Fear nobody. And I believe in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there's you know, that sport, more than any sport, you know, you are as vulnerable, you know, as, you know, when you go in there, you know that if you lose, you're losing in front of, you know, your coaches, your family, your friends, and hundreds or thousands of strangers. It is, you know.
What's losing?
Yeah,
it does happen.
Well, not so much to this guy. Yeah. Speaking of hype, though, Arnold, we're gonna pass it over to you to call out your sponsors, call out whoever is important to you to know you a little bit better or to support you in any other way.
There's too many people. I just
relax from it.
just shout out the big face. That's it. Thanks for putting the gym in the garden. That's it.
We'll certainly call out all your sponsors and everything like that in the description as well. But if there's anyone
Appreciate
else,
Big Jack. We shout out the Big Jack. Obviously, he put on the show yesterday, but yeah, he's like so this is my real dad, obviously, but Jack's like the business dad. Because you're not very switched on with that stuff.
No.
Jack's like the perfect sort of role model without the craziness.
Well,
Isn't he?
I think Jack is the guy that I'd said about in the book. I got to the point where I took him to the gym with me just to keep him out of trouble and get him, And then Jack sort of noticed that he was just talented. He'd show him a technique. He was always showing techniques, but he'd show him a technique, and then he would take it, dissect it, and then put it back together and make his own technique.
Yeah.
And Jack was like, "There's something special with that kid." And I went, "Yeah, that's why I bring him here." He went, No, I don't mean special. He's good.
Well, Jack's the man.
Yeah, definitely.
we're talking about Jack Mason,
Yeah.
the promoter for Cage Warriors Academy Southeast, the man for BKK in the UK, and a real supporter of MMA in the UK.
100%. Without Jack, we wouldn't be where we are.
Yeah.
100%. Again, guys, like, this has just been such an honor and a pleasure. And, again, we'd love to come back. We'd love to have you guys down our ends and whatnot. And furthermore, we support you massively within your next fight. We, we'll be messaging you on Instagram like, yo, good luck, and all that good
We'd
stuff.
have to come and stay over. We'll do the beach stuff, Brody. We'll go down the beach. We'll catch some waves. We've got the kayaks.
Oh,
I saw the
I'm down.
kayaks. Yeah.
I'm so down. I love a good bit of surfing and kayaking, so I'm all about that.
The one thing I've always wanted to do is the kite surfing. I mean, watching them guys do that shit.
Dude, how the fuck does it work? I'm like, I swear you're going against the wind, but you're still fucking going. I don't know.
20 foot in the air as well. I mean, it's amazing
crazy.
stuff.
We're Homie and the Dude here, father and son, MMA and TTRPG team, but this has just been fucking incredible, and we're so thankful for it. But guys, if you want, if you want to follow us, Homie and the Dude everywhere. Other than that, that's about it, really. Got nothing else.
Peace out.
Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.
Peace out.